He just wanted breakfast. Eli Warren woke up to the soft hum of his orbital station. It was quiet, just like every other morning. No alarms, no visitors, no problems, just peace. All he wanted now was breakfast. He stretched, yawned, and scratched his messy hair. The tiny kitchen unit buzzed as he walked in. Coffee first, he mumbled to himself. The machine sputtered a bit, like always, before pouring the thick black liquid into his favorite mug. It read, "Space mechanics fix everything." As he sipped, he opened his food storage bay. He was thinking about eggs, maybe some toast, but what he saw inside made him freeze. There was a girl. She was curled up in the back of the bay, barely breathing. Her skin was pale blue and glowing slightly. She wasn't human. She wore a dark suit, torn in several places, and her shoulder was bleeding. Frost covered her like she had been frozen. For days, Eli dropped his mug. It shattered on the metal floor. For a few seconds, he didn't move. "Okay," he whispered. "I'm still dreaming." But she shifted, groaned softly, and opened one eye. That eye was golden, bright, intelligent. And scared, Eli stepped back, his mind racing. "How did you get in here?" he asked, voice shaking. She didn't answer instead. She tried to sit up but collapsed again. Ellie looked around. No alarms had gone off. No breaches detected. No emergency pings. She had somehow gotten inside without the system knowing. He checked the storage bay logs. There was nothing. No docking, no opening. No life sign alerts. It made no sense. She groaned again. Her lips moving, but no sound coming out. Her fingers twitched as if trying to grab something. Eli ran to his medkit and returned with the scanner. He gently waved it over her body. The readout was strange. 2 hearts, unknown blood type, low body temperature. And internal injuries. Whoever she was, she needed help. "Fast, look," he said, crouching beside her. "I don't know who you are, but I won't hurt you." Still, she didn't answer. Her breathing slowed, then stopped for a second. Ailey panicked, grabbed the stim injector, and pressed it against her neck. With a sudden jolt, she gasped and coughed. Her eyes flew open, wide with fear. She tried to speak but only managed one word. "Run." Eli blinked. "What do you mean, run?" That's when the alarms finally started. Incoming ships detected. The system warned. 3 unidentified vessels approaching at high speed. Eli turned toward the window. 3 small black ships were moving fast toward his station. They didn't respond to hails. Weapons were charged. "Who the hell are you?" he whispered, looking back at the girl. She stared at him, tears forming in her eyes. Then, the emergency broadcast activated. A robotic voice echoed across all channels. "Surrender the asset, and you will not be harmed." Eli's stomach dropped. He looked at the girl, then at the screen. They were talking about her. The girl struggled to sit up. She reached for a small device clipped to her suit. It blinked and projected a tiny hologram. In the image, a planet burning, people screaming, and a group of strange creatures hunting her kind. She wasn't just lost, she was running, and now, because she was here, so was danger. Eli stood up, took a deep breath, and looked at her. "All right. Breakfast can wait," he said. He helped her to her feet and guided her toward the engineering bay. If they were going to survive, they needed to run. Now, as they moved through the corridor, the girl grabbed his hand. Her skin was cold, but her grip was strong. "My name is Kari," she whispered. Then, the lights flickered, and the station shook. The first blast had hit. Eli tightened his grip. He didn't know what he had gotten into, but one thing was clear. His simple life was over, and breakfast would never be the same again. Asterisk smoke filled the air. The floor shook under Eli's boots. Warning lights flashed red across the station walls. He hadn't even finished his coffee, and now the place was falling apart. A laser blast sliced through the docking bay behind them, sending sparks everywhere. He turned sharply, grabbing Kari's arm and pulling her down just as another explosion roared above. "This is not how mornings are supposed to go," he muttered, crawling through the smoke. Kari coughed, still weak, but she nodded. Her suit was sparking from the shoulder. But her eyes were sharp now. She wasn't panicking. She was calculating, watching everything. Like someone trained for war. Eli reached a hidden panel on the floor and slammed his fist into the release button. The floor hissed open, revealing a narrow maintenance tunnel. He looked at Kari. This way. Before they breach, they dropped into the tunnel, crawling fast as the sound of boots echoed behind them. Someone or something had boarded inside the tunnel. Kari finally spoke more clearly. They found me faster than I thought. Eli looked over his shoulder. You want to explain? What's going on? Kari leaned back against the metal wall, eyes tired but alert. I stole something, she said softly. Something they'd kill entire planets to get back. Eli raised an eyebrow. And you brought it here? To me? I didn't choose you, she said. The pod crashed here by accident. Your station was the nearest safe zone. Then she looked him in the eye. But you opened the door. Eli was silent. She wasn't wrong. Suddenly, a voice echoed through. The air vents. Eli Warren, you are harboring a fugitive. Surrender now, and you may be spared. He clenched his jaw. They knew his name. This wasn't just about her anymore. He was involved, deeply. What did you steal? He asked again. Kari took out a small crystal-like object from inside her suit. It pulsed with soft blue light, like it was alive. This, she whispered, is a memory core. It holds everything. War plans, secret experiments, evidence of what they've done. If I can get it to my people, they can stop the syndicate. Eli stared at it. Then at her. You're telling me you're a spy? No, she said. I was a scientist, a healer, but they turned my lab into a weapon factory. They killed my team. I ran. Outside. More explosions rocked the station. Time was running out. Eli sighed. I should have stayed. In bed, he looked at her and nodded. All right, we run. They crawled out the end of the tunnel into the emergency escape bay. There was only one small ship, an old shuttle Eli hadn't used in years. It was dusty, dented, and half-broken, but it could fly. He jumped into the pilot's seat and started the ignition sequence. Kari dropped into the seat beside him, strapping. And as the bay doors began to crack under enemy fire, as the engines roared to life, Kari looked at him. Thank you, she said, voice soft. Don't thank me yet, he replied. This thing flies like a brick with wings, they blasted. Out of the bay, just as the station behind them exploded, Ellie looked back, his home of 5 years turning into fire and metal. The syndicate ships gave chase immediately. Of course they're following. Eli muttered, dodging debris. They always follow. Kari reached forward, tapping into the ship's scanner. I can block their signal for a few minutes. Enough to hide, Eli nodded, flying toward a nearby asteroid field. If we make it through this, he said, you owe me breakfast. Kari smiled faintly. Deal. But behind that smile was something more, fear, maybe guilt, or the weight of carrying a secret that could destroy an empire. As they vanished into the asteroid field, one thing became clear to Eli. This girl wasn't just alien. She was dangerous, hunted, and carrying the kind of secret that could burn galaxies, and now she wasn't alone anymore. In the cold silence between the stars, there was no morning, but for Eli Warren, this felt like a nightmare that just wouldn't end. He floated in the pilot's seat, eyes red, hands shaking. Staring at the empty void outside, the tiny shuttle drifted through an asteroid field, silent and hidden. They hadn't spoken in hours. Kari was asleep in the co-pilot's seat, her face pale, her breathing shallow. She looked peaceful, but Eli knew better now. Peace wasn't real, not anymore. His home was gone. His life gone. And all because he opened a door. Then the silence broke, a crackle across the comms, followed by a cold, robotic voice. This message is for Eli Warren. Eli's heart jumped. He sat up, quickly muting the speakers. But it was too late. Kari was awake now, staring at him. Her face had lost all color. You are now considered an enemy of the syndicate, the voice said. You have 36 Hours to return the asset. After that, there will be no more warnings. Then came the worst part. The screen flickered and a live feed appeared. It was his sister, Aina. She was tied to a chair, eyes swollen, blood on her cheek. Behind her stood a syndicate soldier in black armor, his face hidden by a cold silver mask. Eli couldn't breathe. The soldier leaned forward and spoke, not to Aina, but directly into the camera. "You're not a hero, Eli," he said. "You're just a mechanic, and now people you love will suffer because you think you can play war." The screen cut off. Static filled the air. Eli slammed his fist into the console. The screen cracked, his teeth clenched. He had stayed quiet for this long, hiding in the shadows. But now they were going after Aina, his only family. Kerr reached for him, her voice calm. "I'm sorry," she said. "They move fast, they watch everything. You said they kill planets," Eli whispered. "Now they're using my sister like a game piece." Kari didn't speak. Instead, she opened a hologram map from the memory core. A series of syndicate bases blinked in red, spread across human space. They had been watching Earth for years, silently growing stronger. Eli stared at the map, then at her. "So, this was never about just you, was it?" Kari hesitated, then nodded. "They want control," she said. "Of everything. Humans, aliens, trade, minds, even memories. They erase anyone who resists." Eli stood up, pacing. He was no soldier, no hero. He fixed ships, ran diagnostics, argued with vending machines. But now the syndicate had touched his world, and something inside him snapped. "I'm going to get her back," he said firmly. "I don't care if I have to tear their ship apart with a wrench." Kari looked at him with surprise, then nodded. Slowly, "You might be human," she said, "but you fight like one of us." Eli sat down again and started scanning syndicate transmissions. "If they're watching Earth, we need to go dark, off-grid. There's a guy I know," he added. "He owes me some favors, and he lives where signals don't reach." Kari leaned forward. "Who is he?" Eli smirked. "Old friend, ex-pilot, ex-smuggler, and definitely crazy. But if anyone can help us get Aina back and stay invisible, it's him." Outside the shuttle, stars drifted past like slow-moving ghosts. But Eli's mind was sharp. Now focused, burning. He had lost everything once. He wouldn't lose again. Kari rested her head back, voice soft. "There's a price on my head, Eli. Helping me makes you a target forever." Eli didn't blink. "I was already a target the moment I gave you a blanket." And somewhere far away, inside a syndicate command ship, the man with the silver mask watched Eli's face freeze on a screen. He smiled coldly. "Let's see what the mechanic does next," he said. The game had begun, and Eli had just made his first move. Asterisk, the blue curve of Earth appeared in the distance. So peaceful, so beautiful, and completely unaware of the war coming for it. Eli stared at it through the cracked cockpit. Glass, his home, the place where he grew up, laughed, failed, and built everything again. But now, all he saw was a target. "Are you sure this is safe?" Kari asked, sitting beside him, eyes scanning the radar. Eli didn't answer right away. His jaw was tight, fists clenched around the controls. "It used to be," he said finally. "That was before aliens crash-landed in my pantry and bad guys started threatening my sister." Kari smiled weakly. "You make it sound like an accident." Eli shook his head. "You were the accident. The rest is just fallout." Their small shuttle entered Earth's upper atmosphere. Heat flared across the shields as clouds roared. Past, Eli set course for an isolated zone deep in the Rockies, a no-signal zone. "Forgotten by governments and satellites. I call him Jax," Eli said. "He's insane, but smart." Kari looked uncertain. "How insane?" "He once hacked a weather satellite just to win a card game," Eli replied. "You'll love him." As they landed, dust and snow scattered around an old scrapyard hidden between cliffs. The place looked abandoned, but Eli knew better before. He could knock. The door flew open, and a bearded man with metal arms stepped out. "Warren!" he shouted. You bring me a ship, a girl, and a full-blown galactic manhunt, all in one visit. Missed you too, Jax, Eli said, grinning. Jax raised an eyebrow at Kari. Alien, huh? Kari nodded politely. Yes, Jax looked impressed. Well, welcome to the Junk Palace, Princess. Inside, the place was a maze of screens. Wires, old tech, and half-eaten snacks. Jax walked over to a console and typed something fast. I saw your face on 5 bounty boards this morning. He said, 50,000 credits, dead or alive. Eli sighed. Just what I needed. Kari stepped forward, projecting the holographic map again. She pointed at 3 red dots circling Earth. They're already here, she said, watching every major city. Every signal, every exit. Eli leaned over the map. His sister was in New Paris, right under one of those red dots. A syndicate drone hub. They're not just hunting you. Eli said, they're setting traps. Kari nodded. And if I go anywhere near them, they'll detect me. Eli turned to Jax. I need you to cloak her signal, mask her ID, and help us sneak into a syndicate zone. Jax whistled. You're not asking for much, are you? Then he smiled. Lucky for you, I've got just the thing. He walked to a corner and pulled off a tarp, revealing a rusted suit, part armor, part exosuit, covered in patches. Old syndicate tech but rewired, he said. Makes you invisible to their scans. Just for a few minutes, Eli looked at Kari. Minutes are all we need. Kari hesitated, then said quietly, there's something you should know before we go. Eli turned to her. What is it? She looked at both of them, eyes serious. The syndicate isn't just after the memory core, she said. They're after me because of what I am. Eli frowned. You mean alien? No, she said. I'm not just alien, I'm a key. My DNA is locked to the core. Without me, it can't open fully. Eli stared at her. So you're the password, she nodded. And if they get me alive, they win the war, Jax. Cursed under his breath. You people never bring simple problems. The room fell silent for a moment. Eli looked at Earth on the screen again. It looked peaceful, but that peace was a lie. The syndicate was already inside. And time was running out. He turned to Kari and Jax, fire in his eyes. All right, he said. We get Aina out. We break their systems. And we burn every trap they've laid. Kari looked at him. You're serious? Eli smiled coldly. You came here running from monsters, he said. Now let's give them something to run from. Outside, the wind howled over the mountains. Inside, 3 rebels, a mechanic, a hunted alien, and a mad engineer. Began planning the next move. Earth was no longer safe, but Eli Warren had stopped running. The sound of welding sparks filled the underground bunker. The smell of burnt metal, oil, and sweat clung to the air. Eli Warren stood shirtless under a flickering light, his hands wrapped in torn fabric, tightening bolts on a weapon he didn't know how to use yesterday. He wasn't fixing ships anymore. He was building war. Jax's old lab had become their hideout, their forge. Kari sat quietly across the room, recharging her suit through a power converter. Her face looked calmer now, but her eyes were always scanning, always thinking. Eli hadn't slept in 30 hours. Didn't matter, not after what he saw on the news feeds. City lockdowns, mysterious disappearances, a sudden increase in security drones over Earth skies. The syndicate wasn't hiding anymore. They were preparing for something. Your body's human, Jax said, tossing Eli a metal vest. But your anger? That's alien grade. Eli caught the vest and strapped it on. I'm tired of watching, he said. If they want to find me, then fine, let them try. But I'm not giving them a clean shot. Kari looked up, surprised by the tone in his voice. You've changed, she said. Eli glanced at her. No, he replied. I just finally woke up. On the table before them were blueprints of the syndicate drone towers, high-tech, heavily guarded and spread across Earth. If they could take out just one, it would break their signal chain for hours, maybe more. We hit the tower in Sector 4. Jax explained, pointing at the map. Security's lighter there. They think it's too far from anything important. But we've got one shot, Eli nodded. We take it out, then we move fast, get Ana. Kari reached into her pouch and pulled out a tiny round orb. This is a pulse grenade, she said. Alien tech, short range, but it fries electronics. Eli grinned. Perfect. Night fell over the city as they moved out. Eli wore the patched exosuit, barely fitting his frame. Kari moved like a ghost. In her half-repaired armor, Jock stayed behind, running support through a hidden channel. As they approached the tower, the city felt off, too quiet, too clean. Even the air felt watched. Eli crouched behind a broken vehicle, watching the syndicate drones fly overhead. They moved in perfect patterns, scanning everything. He looked at Kari. Now? She nodded. Now. Dashed across the street, rolled into the shadows, and reached the base of the tower. Kari followed seconds later, planting the pulse grenade. 5 seconds, she whispered. The explosion wasn't loud, it was silent. Like a sudden breath being sucked out of the world. The lights of the tower flickered, then died. The drones dropped out of the sky like metal rain. Eli didn't wait. He burst through the back gate of the compound, punching out a guard and grabbing his weapon. Kari followed, moving faster than he could believe, disarming 2 syndicate soldiers with fluid strikes. Together, they moved room to room, clearing hallways, disabling systems, planting decoys. Jax's voice came through the earpiece. You've got 4 minutes before backup arrives. Get out of there. They ran, jumping through a busted fence, diving into the sewer access tunnels. Behind them, the tower began sparking violently, systems collapsing. They had done it. But as they surfaced blocks away, Kari looked at Eli with worry. This was just the start, she said. They'll hit back harder. Eli wiped blood from his lip and smiled. Let them, he said. I'm not hiding anymore, Jax greeted them back at the bunker with clapping hands. You took out a syndicate tower, he said, with a stolen grenade and a grudge. Not bad for a breakfast guy. Eli sat down, breathing hard. But there was something new in his eyes now. Not fear, not anger. Focus. Kari sat beside him, her voice quiet. You're not just fighting for me now, are you? Eli looked at her. No, he said. I'm fighting for all of us. The syndicate had the power, the weapons, and the reach. But Eli had something else. Nothing left to lose, and a human with nothing to lose is a problem even the stars should fear. Asterisk. The stars didn't blink. They watched. Silent, ancient, and cold. Eli sat alone on the rooftop of Jax's bunker, staring at the sky like it might answer him back. The night was quiet, but not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that came after something big. The kind before something worse. He held Kari's memory core in his hand. The blue crystal pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat trapped in glass. It looked beautiful, almost harmless. But he knew now, this tiny object could change the fate of galaxies. Kari stood behind him, watching without speaking. Her shadow danced in the moonlight, calm but unreadable. She had been quiet since they hit the tower, too quiet. I know you're keeping something from me, Eli said without turning. Kari didn't answer. The wind blew gently through her white hair. You told me you were a scientist, he continued. A healer. You said you were running from monsters. I was, she said finally, her voice soft. But I didn't tell you who the monsters were. Eli turned, eyes sharp. Then tell me now. Kari stepped forward. Her armor shimmered as she activated the core, and the hologram bloomed between them, not of war, not of death, but of a throne, a floating palace above a glowing planet, thousands of alien people kneeling before a tall figure. She looked like Kari, only older, crowned in silver light. That's my mother, Kari said. She ruled the Lyrian system, 5 planets, 12 moons, billions of lives. Eli stared, jaw tight. Your royalty, Kari nodded. Slowly. I was supposed to be next in line, she said. But I ran from it. I didn't want a throne. I wanted freedom. She turned away. voice shaking slightly. I joined the Science Guild, built healing machines, grew food for poor colonies. But the Syndicate, they came anyway. Eli's fingers curled around the core. What did they want? They wanted control, Curry said. And they needed my DNA to get it. I'm not just connected to this memory core. I am the key. My blood opens vaults across my world, controls war satellites, even our defense grid. Eli stood slowly, realization crashing over him. So if they get you, they don't just win Earth, he said. They win everything. Kari nodded, tears forming in her eyes. My people think I'm dead, she whispered. They don't know. I'm here, hiding on a world that isn't ready. Eli looked at the stars again. He thought of Earth, his sister, Jax, the ruined station he once called home. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about stopping a takeover before it even started. We need to go back, he said firmly. Kari blinked. Go back where? To your world, Eli said. To warn your people, to stop the Syndicate at the source. Kari stepped back, stunned. That would be suicide, she said. Their ships would never let us reach the gates. Eli smiled. But there was no humor in it. Then we don't go through the gates, he said. We crash right through their front door. Behind them. Jax's voice crackled through a speaker. I just picked up chatter from the Syndicate, he said. They're preparing to launch something big. Kari's name is all over it. Kari looked at Eli, heart racing. They know I'm alive. She said, they're coming. Eli turned toward the hangar, eyes sharp. Then let's give them a reason to be afraid. The stars still didn't blink. But for the first time, something up there moved. A message sent. A war about to begin. And in the center of it stood a girl with royal blood and a human who just wanted breakfast. Space was on fire. Eli had never seen anything like it. Thousands of ships, alien, Syndicate, and more, tangled in a burning web above the planet Kari, once called home. The Lyrian defense grid was falling, their royal fleet was gone, and the Syndicate was winning, all because of her, and because of him. Eli stood at the center of a small star cruiser stolen from a Syndicate outpost. He wasn't wearing armor. He wasn't carrying any fancy alien weapon. He had a toolkit strapped to his chest and Kari's life in his hands. Eli, the shields are breaking. Kari's voice said through the comms. She was in the back of the ship, hooked to the memory core, the data now fully unlocked. Her skin shimmered with energy. Too much energy. Eli's hands flew over the controls, trying to hold their course steady. But their ship was burning, systems failing, lights flashing red. Just hold on, he said. We're almost there. Almost where? Jax crackled from a remote signal, hiding deep in an asteroid field. Eli smiled through the smoke. To the palace gates, he replied. We're crashing the front door. A Syndicate warship locked onto them, charging weapons, Eli whispered. To himself, come on, girl, one last push. He slammed the throttle forward. Engines screaming, flames licking the hull. They broke through the blockade like a lightning bolt, straight into the atmosphere of Lyria Prime. Below them, a shining city under attack. Above them, fire, war, and fate. The ship tore through the sky like a comet, and then it crashed. Hard metal bent, fire bloomed. Systems died. Eli crawled from the wreckage, coughing, bleeding, but alive. He looked back. Kari was unconscious, still linked to the core. The final upload was beginning. Then they came Syndicate soldiers in black armor, dozens of them. Surrounding the wreck, their leader, the silver-masked man, stepped forward. Step aside, human, he said, voice cold. She belongs to us. Eli stood in front of the ship, arms out. No, he said, not today. The soldiers raised their weapons. But before they could fire, light exploded from behind Eli. Kari floated into the air, glowing. The core had awakened fully, and with it, the royal code. Every defense satellite, every locked archive, every Lyrian protocol was suddenly hers again. She raised a hand, and the Syndicate soldiers froze. Their weapons melted. Their leader dropped to his knees, his mask breaking with a scream. Kari lowered gently beside Eli, her body still glowing, but her breath was slow, weak. "You did it," she whispered. "You brought me home." Eli smiled through tears. "You just needed a ride," she laughed faintly. "I don't know what happens next," she said. Eli held her hand. "Then let's find out." Across the sky, the Lyrian flags lit up again. The planet woke up. A signal sent to every star system that the throne had returned, that the syndicate had failed. Jax's voice came through the come again. "I can't believe it," he said. "You actually survived," Eli chuckled. "Never bet against breakfast." Weeks later, the syndicate had vanished into the void. Kari was crowned queen, not because of blood, but because of truth. And beside her, not in armor, not in a royal suit, but in greasy boots and a tool belt, stood Eli Warren. A human, a mechanic, the boy who just wanted breakfast, but ended up changing the galaxy.